Hey, everybody, off the Mike Sports Network here. We have got a game 6 in the NBA playoffs, and the dream is still alive for the NBA on TNT. That's what a lot of people care about. We also still have more basketball, and we're not going to have to wait for a week for the NBA Finals. Oklahoma City's going to sit at home and is probably watching just like, man, let these teams beat the shit out of each other. But the Knicks beat the Pacers in game 6. I expected this to happen 111-94. The score doesn't even really tell the story. This was not competitive. The Pacers starters probably played the worst game that they've played as a group the entire playoffs. And I wish they would have done this a couple times against the Cavs. This group was terrible in this game. Pascal Siakam had 15 points. The rest of the starters did not. The rest of the starters did nothing in this game. 3 points for Aaron Nesmith. He only made 1 out of 8 shots, 1-5 from 3. Miles Turner's been bad in the series. He only took 3 shots. Andrew Nembhard, 3 of 8 shooting. And then Tyrese Halliburton, 8 points. Doesn't even tell the whole story. 8.6 assists, 2 of 7 shooting. He was awful in this game. For as good as he was in the last game, he was awful. And that really set the tone for this whole game. The Knicks came out and Jalen Brunson was just hitting shots left and right. Knicks bench gave him energy. Mitchell Robinson gave him energy. Karl Anthony Towns, even on a bum knee, was like the Knicks played like their season was on the line. And the Pacers played like, hey, we've got a game 6 at home. And I stress this a lot, especially when you are up 3-1 in most series. When you have an opportunity and you have somebody's foot, you have your foot on somebody's neck and ready to just put the kill shot in, you have got to finish the job. As somebody who has been on the right side of history of a 3-1 comeback with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And listen, if you want to get in me with the comments saying, oh, Draymond got suspended, there was injuries to Andrew Bogut, I'm not going to hear it because the year before, the Cavs didn't have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love for 90% of the series and still pushed the Warriors to 6 games. So if you're a Warriors fan and still is mad about 2016, you blew a 3-1 series lead. This is why I say to Indiana, you're playing a dangerous game right now with a feisty Knicks group that fights their asses off, and they've got the clutch player in basketball in Jalen Brunson, and they've got a all-NBA type player in Karl Anthony Towns, and they've got guys with championship pedigree. Granted, it's not at the professional level, but Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson won 2 national championships in college. Like there is veteran experience all over this team. And you just know, hey, getting into a war with the Knicks, especially when you know, hey, whether you want to subscribe to conspiracy theories or not, like you're facing a big market team, okay? You have got to put your foot on, you have to pedal the metal. Indiana is all about pace. And I get it. You want to finish this off in front of your crowd, but they came out with no energy, got smacked around for a large chunk of this. They didn't get to 100 points. They scored 130. They scored 94 in this game. And when Benedict Mathurin, Jarris Walker, and Obi Toppin really saved this game from being a 30-point massacre. Obi Toppin had 11 points in this game. He was, 4-10 in his 18 minutes. Benedict Mathurin was, I can't stand the guy. He had 9 free throws, but 6 of 10 from the floor, 23 points. He was their leading scorer. That can't happen. I don't care if you're on the road or not. And I know the talking heads are going to get mad at Tyrese Halliburton because after his historic game that he had with 15 assists, no turnovers, 30-point triple-double, it comes out with this. And, like I said, the starters for Indiana were just abysmal in this game. It's statistically been one of the better starting fives in the NBA. But Miles Turner's not hitting any shots. Nembhard's been hit and miss. Halliburton, he's like Siakam's really been out, and Nesmith has kind of cooled off a little bit, but he's also kind of a little bit dinged up. He has one of the toughest tasks in trying to guard the clutch player of the year and maybe the best player in this whole series in Jalen Brunson. But yeah, outside of a stretch really at the end of that game 1, Aaron Nesmith really hasn't scored that much. So yeah, Siakam's been probably the best player really from all around player the entire series. Like he had the near 40-point game in game 2. But yeah, this was just a bizarre performance from the Pacers that really, like I said, I'm not surprised the Knicks came out and played and didn't lay down like Minnesota did in their game 5. Because obviously the Knicks were at home. This could be the end of their season. and they knew that they gave one away. So they were like, okay, let's give our fans something to cheer about and give them some hope going to Indiana. I just really was surprised at Indiana's performance given what was on the line. And they had closed out their previous two series on the road in game five. Cleveland, game five, put their foot on the neck and ended it. At home, had to make a really incredible comeback against Milwaukee, but still, they ended it. You don't want to play extra games because you're susceptible to injury, you're susceptible to more opportunities to potentially lose and just put yourself in bad situations. And I'm here to tell you guys, I'm going to make a sweeping declaration. I did this on my social media. I think the winner of Game 6 wins this series. Whether that's Indiana and they clinch the series, or it's the Knicks taking this back to Game 7 on Monday night in Madison Square Garden. I'm telling you right now, I do not think the Indiana Pacers win a Game 7 in Madison Square Garden. I understand that they won the first two games at Madison Square Garden, and they're a very good road team in this playoffs. But I'm telling you, that's going to be one of the most hostile environments maybe in NBA history if you walk back into that building. And I understand that the Pacers will live for that, but you have to take every opportunity to end a series, especially against a team like the Knicks that is not going to give up. They're not going to quit. They're always going to keep fighting. And when you've got a player like Jalen Brunson who could go out and do something crazy, I would not fuck around with this. And that's why I was really befuddled and I was really confused with what happened with Indiana. Literally, to me, this was the worst. I mean, maybe you could look back to game 3 of the Cavs series. This was the worst game that they've played since that game 3 at home. And then I understand they turned around and they had a historic first half and ran the Cavs out the floor and were beating them by 41 points at the half. But there were some signs in this game that I was really concerned about, the lack of urgency, really. And it's almost like, and one of my buddies, Robert Guerra, who I worked with at Fox Sports Radio, he pointed out it's almost like they punted on the game in the second quarter. Yeah, they got this to 10, I think, at one point, but this was never really in doubt for the Knicks. Like they felt like the better team on this night. And it's just like between Indiana being sloppy with the basketball, them not shooting it particularly well. I mean, they were only, I mean, this was another alarming thing. Indiana's shooting numbers went down. Only 40% from the floor, 33% from three, 10 of 30. They made more threes than the Knicks, but the Knicks almost shot 50% from the floor. The Knicks were just a better team. And it's just, like even Mitchell Robinson just, going all over the place and just making winning plays. Josh Hart was everywhere. For God's sake, Landry Shamet gave him good minutes. Landry Shamet was good in this game. So, man, it's just like, if not for Jarris Walker, Obi Toppin, and Benedict Mathurin, this is a massacre. Like it was a 17-point win for the Knicks. It could have been 30-40 if those guys don't show up. You cannot go into a closeout game, I don't care where it is, and have Benedict Mathurin, like your 6th or 7th guy on your roster, be the leading scorer. That can't happen. And now you're banking it all. And some Pacers fan will blow. Yeah, we can go win Game 7 in Madison Square Garden. Really? Maybe they're bound to be surprised, because I didn't think that the Miami Heat a couple years ago when they blew a 3-0 lead and had to go to Boston and they ended up winning that. Also, Jason Tatum turned his ankle in like the first minute of that game. Who knows how that would have gone? Don't bring that up to Celtics fans because they're the most petty and most they never forget anything. But I just don't see, like, even with the pace, I feel like Game 6 is the series. I really do. Just the way that this thing has been going. And, I give credit. Indiana has been able to rebound. But it's just like, the way that the Knicks it felt like they figured something out in this game. So it's going to be something to watch on Saturday night. This is, like I said, this feels like a Game 7, really. I know they're going to have to play another Game 7 if, the Knicks are able to win. I just don't see, I think Indiana needs to win more. The pressure is mounting, and they have to win this thing on Saturday night in their own building. If not, like I said, the Knicks would go into a Game 7 in Madison Square Garden for the most important game, maybe the most important game in that franchise. I would say probably you could even predate the 99 finals team. It would probably be the most important game in that building. You'd probably have to go back to the 94 or 95 finals. I can't remember which year it was was the Magic against, like, because I know the Knicks took the Rockets to a game 7 in that finals. So we're going back like 30 years. So you know that that place is going to be juiced up. They're going to have every single star under the sun in that building. The ticket prices are going to be through the roof. It is going to be the most hostile environment maybe in NBA history. Because the Knicks fans are just maniacs in general. But like I said, you stole game 1. You won game 2 off of a great performance. And really what has tipped this series is that game 1 collapse or stolen game that happened because Aaron Nesmith went crazy and the Pacers stole that game in overtime. If that doesn't happen, the Knicks have a chance to close out the series on Saturday. So that's the margin in this series right now. So I'm telling you, man, like I've seen this before too often in sports. When you have an opportunity to end a series, you have to end it as soon as possible. And the Pacers were playing like the better team. They seem to have, this thing, and they gave the rope back to, and they have given, and they've cracked open the door for the New York Knicks to pull off a 3-1 comeback. And I'm telling you, man, if the Pacers don't win on Saturday in game 6, I don't see them coming back and winning a game 7 on Monday night in Madison Square Garden. So just a wild, wild sequence. And it's just like, I'm so confused at what happened. And I wish that some of this would have shown up in the Cavs series and that the Cavs maybe would have been able to, push through. Realistically, none of this matters because the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to win the championship, especially if the Knicks get through. It would be great for the NBA in terms of viewership because they'd get a New York market in there. But either way, Oklahoma City's winning the championship this year. So nonetheless, it doesn't make this any less interesting. And hey, on the bright side, we get another inside the NBA, at least one more. So thank God for that. So thank you, Knicks, for that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.